What if the end of the world doesn't arrive with fire falling from the sky or sirens screaming through the streets, but instead with silence, quiet ground beneath our feet, calm oceans on the horizon, and a planet that appears stable while counting down to something ancient and unstoppable? Imagine standing in a peaceful valley, birds calling, wind brushing tall grass, unaware that miles beneath you molten rock is shifting, pressure is mounting, and a clock older than civilization itself is ticking toward an inevitable release, because Earth does not rage loudly all the time. It waits, and throughout history it has waited patiently before erasing cities, reshaping continents, and rewriting human memory in a single violent moment. From Pompeii frozen in ash to Krakatoa's thunder heard thousands of miles away, disasters we call sudden were actually centuries in the making. Slow-motion catastrophes hidden beneath generations who believed the ground was solid and permanent. And tonight, we are investigating those buried forces, supervolcanoes, capable of altering global climate, mega-tsunamis, tall enough to swallow coastlines, drifts, tearing continents apart, centimeter by centimeter phenomena scientists now call geological time bombs. Threats not defined by if, but when. And as modern instruments listen to the planet's faint signals, an unsettling realization emerges. Our ancestors may have heard these warnings long before satellites and sensors existed, encoding their fear and survival into myths of floods, underworlds, fire gods, and vanished worlds. Stories passed down not as data but as desperate memory. And in this investigation, we will walk the thin line between science and legend, between measurable pressure and whispered prophecy, asking a question that refuses to stay buried. Are we living calmly on a planet that is already preparing its next great correction? Deep beneath Earth's crust, beyond human sight and sound, forces move with glacial patience. And today, for the first time in history, we are beginning to observe them in real time. Not through myth or superstition, but through satellites that measure millimeter shifts in land elevation, seismic arrays that feel vibrations smaller than a passing truck, and GPS networks that reveal continents drifting apart as silently as breath, allowing scientists to monitor magma chambers swelling like lungs beneath volcanoes, to track stress building along subduction zones where tectonic plates lock together for centuries before snapping, and to measure gas emissions that leak upward as subtle warnings of pressure-seeking release. Places like Yellowstone are no longer mysterious calderas, but living systems under constant surveillance. Cascadia's quiet coastline is now known as a loaded fault capable of generating a tsunami in minutes. And the East African rift is visibly tearing a continent in half before our eyes. Yet, for all this technology, prediction remains imperfect. Because Earth does not follow calendars or deadlines, it responds to thresholds. And while models can explain mechanisms, how magma rises, how plates strain, how pressure transfers, they cannot tell us the exact hour the system fails, creating a paradox where humanity knows more than ever and yet remains powerless to stop what is coming, only to prepare and respond. A humbling reminder that civilization exists at the mercy of processes measured not in election cycles or lifetimes, but in deep time, where patience is not kindness and silence is never safety. Long before science named fault lines and magma chambers, humanity told stories. And strangely, those stories repeat themselves across cultures that never met. Tales of floods that erased worlds, fires that rose from the earth, and gods who punished civilizations with water or flame. From the Epic of Gilgamesh to Noah's Ark, from Hindu deluges to indigenous flood legends. The details change, but the structure remains, warnings ignored. Waters rising, survival granted to a chosen few, suggesting not fantasy but shared trauma. Possibly rooted in rapid sea level rise at the end of the last ice age, or mega-tsunamis triggered by underwater, landslides and earthquakes, while underworld myths speak of realms of fire and smoke guarded by monstrous beings. Descriptions eerily similar to volcanic landscapes and eruptive events that ancient people could neither explain nor control. And when we examine legends of lost civilizations like Atlantis, dismissed as allegory, we find parallels in real geological phenomena such as island subsidence, seismic collapse, and sudden inundation, raising the unsettling possibility that myths are not imagination, but compressional data storage systems, preserving warnings across generations, encoded in story so they would never be forgotten, even if misunderstood. Despite all our intelligence, humans are poorly equipped to fear what moves slowly. Our brains evolved to react to predators and immediate danger, not pressure accumulating beneath the crust over centuries. Which is why societies rebuild on fault lines, settle near volcanoes, and ignore evacuation plans until the ground is already shaking. Yet modern science is attempting to bridge that gap with early warning systems that can detect tsunamis minutes after undersea earthquakes. Volcanic alert levels that guide evacuations, and international data sharing that turns local tremors into global awareness. But technology alone is not enough because communication determines survival. And this is where ancient myths unexpectedly become relevant again, reminding us that fear must be translated into narrative to be understood, that warnings must be felt emotionally, to be taken seriously, and that preparedness is not just infrastructure but belief. The belief that the calm ground beneath us is temporary, and that respecting Earth's signals is not paranoia, but wisdom earned through loss. When we step back far enough, Earth stops looking like a stable platform and begins to resemble something alive. A system that breathes, shifts, releases, and renews itself through cycles of creation and destruction older than humanity itself. Geological time bombs are not anomalies but essential processes that regulate the planet's internal energy, shaping mountains, oceans, and climates long before humans learned to name them. And understanding this does not mean living in fear, but in awareness. Recognizing that every tranquil landscape hides a deeper story written in pressure and patience. And as myths once carried warnings through firelit nights, science now carries them through data and satellites, both pointing to the same truth, that survival depends on listening, adapting, and respecting forces far larger than us. So, as you watch the calm horizon or walk across solid ground, remember that beneath you history is still being written, slowly, silently, and without asking permission. And the question is no longer whether Earth will change, but whether we will be ready when it does.